Okay.
Good quality interactions with our kids is really what we're going after. So thank you very much for being here. We've got a sign-in sheet going around on a spiral notebook, so if you'll just make sure that I have your cell phone number in case there's something that comes up the day of that we need to get a hold of somebody. Probably cell phone would be best. And that way we've got quick access numbers if we need to get you the day of. We are going to arrive, we're going to have the kids arrive at 8:50 every day. They're used to coming about 10 minutes early to school, so we're going to open the sanctuary 10 minutes before we start every day. The opening and the closing sessions will be in the sanctuary. So 8:50 we'll be kind of expected to have kids and be in the sanctuary.
I like that idea.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
It worked real well last year
Yes.
to open in the sanctuary.
Yes.
There you go.
Hi. Join us, join us.
Get that one too. Say that last part again, Sarah. You expect
Yep.
all adults there, or just the ones
The
that are
teachers.
the teachers?
The teachers, the ones that will be in charge of kids.
Okay.
We'll have them in the sanctuary at 8:50. Before that, for about 10 minutes, at 8:40, we're going to have a staff meeting every day. This actually counts as the first staff meeting. So Monday, we're going to be so busy with registration, we won't have one on Monday. But at 8:40 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, expect a real quick staff meeting. We'll come together for any last minute changes, any tweaks to the schedule, and a prayer before we get started.
Where will that be at?
Fellowship Hall tends to work pretty well for that, so that
Okay.
we're, and if you've got kids with you, like Becky, just bring your kids with you to that. And nursery-wise, nursery will be open at 8:30 every day. So if they're nursery age, feel free to go ahead and drop them off. That allows, like Heidi's doing art for us, that allows her to come up and get set and started with her day a little bit earlier than just walking in. I didn't want nursery to just start when it starts. That's hard on you. So nursery opens at 8:30 every day. With the exception of the first day, we're going to have nursery open at 8 on Monday. Let folks come in and get last minute prep done, be on site, help get registration set up and those sorts of things. So we'll start a little early on Monday. So 8:50 every day, we expect the kids to be coming in between 8:50 and 9 o'clock. We're going to file them into the sanctuary and set them in the rows with their teachers. And then we will also dismiss from the sanctuary. Hi. We will also dismiss from the sanctuary. So kids will come. Hi, guys. Teachers, again, will have the, and there's chairs stacked up over here, so feel free to grab an extra chair. Teachers will have the class list, and as kids register that first day, we're just going to write kids' names on it, and I'll update you the class list as soon as I can. And then checking out, parents will need to come into the sanctuary to get their kids to check out, and you'll keep track of those kids. So we're not going to have the fellowship hall chaos. We're going to check in and out from the sanctuary, and we'll actually do our opening and closing in there as well. So the dancing and things is going to still take place in the sanctuary, so that cuts down on transitions. That does keep the kids from having all the space in the world from dancing, but that's going to have to be the happy medium, because I think it keeps the kids feeling safer in the sanctuary than being a new kid, 5 years old, walking into that fellowship hall and all that noise and all that chaos. So we're going to try it. Schedule and job assignments. So in your packet in front of you, you have the schedule, and so we can start actually on the first day, the schedule. And so you'll notice that on Monday, the nursery opens at 8 o'clock. The nursery opens at 8 o'clock on Monday morning. We're going to register from 8:30 to 9:15. We'll go ahead and move kids into the sanctuary as they come in. So we would expect the teachers to kind of be there, some youth to be on hand. Just if you're around and you can help get kids into the sanctuary and get them into the right rows with us would be helpful that morning. We're going to schedule the opening to actually start at 9:15, and then we shortened our sessions on that first day. What I think has happened in the past is we always forgot that we run late on Mondays, and we end up missing a whole rotation. The kids miss a class. So this is an attempt to try to schedule for running late. We're just going to know we run late and get that in there. So then you'll notice at the end of Monday, after the 5th session, you're going to move to Fellowship Hall at 11:55, and you'll go to lunch in Fellowship Hall. And we've allowed about 20 minutes for lunch, and then we will move to the sanctuary for the closing. So that adds a little transition in there, but again, it's more towards that orderly ending of things. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the schedule is the same. We've got 20-minute opening and 25-minute rotations. We move to Fellowship Hall. Actually, on your sheets on Friday from session 5, that needs to be changed on your sheets, on your copies. We're actually going to move to Fellowship Hall. We will do the closing in Fellowship Hall. Where it says sanctuary, cross that out and put FH, Fellowship Hall. So we're actually going to not do the sanctuary that last day. The service on the following Sunday will be in Fellowship Hall. We'll have moved things to Fellowship Hall that last. We can move Rivet Stage during the day on Friday, and we can get things set up in Fellowship Hall that afternoon.
So you're saying on Friday, after session 5.
We go to Fellowship Hall for the closing, and then we'll
then
lunch right there. Fridays when we have the parents come in with us and join us. So that's usually the big hot dog lunch, and all the parents will be there, and that'll be that. So that's that page. Moving on to the next sheet, or the back of that one. We tried to schedule for not having kids go up and down the stairs all the time. So I tried to be thinking about how to get the kids, once they're upstairs, to kind of stay upstairs and not be jumping around. So for the preschool kids, you'll see the names of classes across the top. And so some of you are listed up there. I've got a leader, which for the most part are adults. Grant, I think you got promoted to adult this year. So you're running the first grade class with Katie, and Katie's sitting kind of catty-cornered from you here. So the two of you I know will do great with the first grade class. So you'll see your names across there, across the top, and a youth helper. We're going to run A and B sessions of science, and they will be duplicates. So on one side of the hall, we'll have Science A, and on the other side of the hall, we'll have Science B. And you don't switch. You go one place and stay there, unless you guys decided you're switching. But okay. Sunshine Room and New Life Room will be for the science. For Bible story, Pat will be on one side doing the story. So Bible A, if you go to Bible A, you're doing the story first. If you go to Bible B, you're going to do the activity first, and that is Tim Fleming. And then they'll do half the time, and then they'll switch between those two rooms. So you will switch, but you'll start in one or the other. For rec, those kids will all be together. Alan Shockley is leading that, and that will be either downstairs or outside, downstairs in the youth center or outside, and we'll let you know each day what that is going to be so you know where to take your kids. Some activities will work better inside, and some will work better outside, and weather permitting. So we've got a backup plan for weather. Music will be all classes together, and that will be in Fellowship Hall. And art, we've talked about splitting. We've had some discussion as to if we can maybe do 1.5 classes in here, or maybe borrow more of this room and make this one bigger. So we're still kind of working out how art's going to be, but we've got this room reserved as well as the library, and we'll continue to update and communicate as that works out. This room's obviously bigger than the library is, so trying to split it exactly in half may not work, but we're going to get your kids accommodated, and we've got 2 rooms we can do it in. So stay flexible with us as we figure this out. What this does is allows us to have 10 rotations of kids, which makes class sizes smaller. So instead of having 30 preschoolers that you're in charge of, we're hoping to have 15 at the most. And I see smiles on teachers' faces, so that will be a lot easier to handle. So that is the rotations then for your classes. You just follow your column down, and that's the order that you go in. As far as restroom breaks go, when you get to music in the Fellowship Hall, that would be probably a good place to have a restroom break around music. So for littler kids, I planned that so it's kind of in the middle of the day. So if you're with the preschool, pre-K kids, those are probably the kids that are going to need the restroom break. Scheduled, we stop for the restroom when you're waiting in line out there at the hallway. Okay, as far as then the next sheet for, these are our activities. We've got Julie Mansky and Deb Williams on board for science, and so they'll run the 2 rooms, and they've got helpers. For rec, Alan Shockley's leading that. He's got some helpers. Music, Matt Hanna and Angie Haug are going to work that in Fellowship Hall. Bible story is Tim and Pat, and we've got a lot of youth helping in that area. And we didn't know how many actors you needed, so if we need to continue to recruit, we can have Tim recruit some more.
If we're going to tell the story using actors, we will need some more.
Okay.
And I'll have that number. It fluctuates each day.
Okay. Tim would probably be good to help get some more kids in too. Thank you. So crafts, we've got Betty and Heidi are going to be doing crafts. Nursery is Marcia, and then there's a whole crew there for nursery that's just not listed. Justin Lefto's going to run the kitchen, and he's got a good crew with him. Linda Weber is going to stand outside and greet each morning, and then she is going to help in Bible story as well. Carol Buser, Fran Nairmore are going to help me with registration on the first day for sure, and could probably use some extra hands on that day of folks. So if you're standing around without a whole lot to do, we'd love to have you help us with that. Hi. Betty Hartman's going to be our puppet, and Tim Fleming's going to be Sandy Paper, the narrator character. And then I'm still looking for a photographer on Tuesday only, and we'll get that going. So if you do not see your name on this sheet or on the sheet previous to this, and I see a couple kids in the room that I don't have listed, I think, we need to find you a spot. So I know actors in Bible story is one place that we could use some help, and recreation could probably use some help as well. So check in with me before you leave if you don't see your name listed and typed out, and I'll make sure you get a spot. So we're very glad to have you. I just didn't make any presumptions on people if I hadn't heard from you or seen you in person. So we'd love to have you. Okay, so then the next thing we want to talk about is champs. And so if you turn the page one more time, you will see champs for assembly. And bear with me, I'm running my online meeting, and I'm going to switch screens here real quick so that they can see what I'm doing as well. So as you look through the champs that you see there, if you are a kid in Wichita schools, you know champs probably. There we go. Okay, so if you're a kid in Wichita schools, you're familiar with champs, and so that's what we're thinking is so many of our kids that come to VBS go to Wichita schools that we wanted to continue to use the proactive discipline that they use within the schools themselves. So C stands for conversation. So we tell the kids the level of conversation, the voice level that they're to have. So if you expect the kids to be zero voice, like no whispering, no noise, you need to tell them it's a zero voice level right now. You need to tell them when that happens. Voice level 2 is just a normal conversation voice. Voice level 1 is in between. It's a whisper probably without the noise, but a whisper. And then level 3, they tell the kids it's their teacher voice. So if they're up presenting, or if they're singing, or they're chanting out something, it'd probably be their teacher voice, their voice level 3. H is help. So you always want to tell kids how to get help if they need it. So if they're in assembly for opening and closing in the sanctuary and they need to ask you a question, they need to raise their hand. The A stands for activity. So we just listed what it is that's going on at that time. The M stands for movement. So during the assembly, we would ask kids to stay with their teacher in their row. We'd want their hands and their feet in their own spots. You probably should jot down there, we also want feet on the floor. If you happen to see a kid standing on the pews to dance, just tell them we want your feet on the floor at this time. You need to tell them the expectation. P would be listening to the story. P is participation. And so they would listen to the story, watch the video, they'd sing and dance. It's how they participate, how we know they're on task and working. And then S is just success. If we do all these things, we'll have success. So we've written those out for the assembly, for opening and closing. For lunch, the movement during lunch, we want them to stay seated with their class while they're eating. If they need to use the restroom, they would ask their teacher for permission. They would take their trash to the closest trash can. Those are all things that would be okay movement during lunch. For participation, we'd ask them to eat their lunch, clean up their trash, and just visit with their neighbors, visit with their friends. And again, S is that success. We have one for hallways. We're going to expect kids to move through the hallways with voice level 0. And they can do that. They're used to doing that at school. So just remind them, reteach it, reteach it, reteach it. We need a voice level 0 right now, and stop your line and ask for voice level 0 again. I think for help, they need to save their questions until their line is done moving. They don't need to be interrupting your line all the way down the hallway, butting in and asking questions. Just get where you need to be, and then they can ask you questions there. They need to stay in their line, walk quietly, follow all the directions of the teachers, keep their hands and feet to themselves. Madeline was really cute. She was helping me work this out. She said, you know, at school they let us wave to our friends real quickly, but we still have to stay at voice level 0. So we went ahead and put that one in there. And we also thought, don't pull on or jump up to the decorations. We don't want kids jumping around. Trying to think of those things we see each year and being preventative, putting it in the expectations and teaching that up front. We'll teach this to the kids throughout the week and continue to reinforce it and continue to talk about it. As far as the activities go, you will have a poster for your room. So Bible, you're going to have a poster for your room specifically with this. They were so different to think about the expectations for recreation versus Bible story that we didn't fill them out completely. But some things, of course, applied across the board. So if you look at the movement, keep hands and feet to yourself. That's going to work at all of them. But for Bible story, you may have a different amount of movement. Maybe you want them to stay in their spot the whole time. So there's going to be room on there. You can fill out the rest of your poster if there's specific things that you want to teach the kids. We will have these posted. It helps to be able to refer to the poster to say, remember our champs, or tell me what the champs is, or what was our voice level supposed to be right now, and then asking the kids that kind of way. Show me a voice level 0. It just kind of puts that third party in, so it's not about you versus the kid. It's like you're just reminding the kid of that rule. It really does tend to help. It's not a magic bullet. It doesn't fix everything. You're still going to have a little bit with the kids, but it's a good first start. So it's something that they're used to from school and will expect. And almost by putting this in there, they kind of know we know their game. We know that they know that they can do this on a regular basis. Yes.
I've never worked for you as teaching programs.
Uh-huh.
This is new for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be working with a group of kids who have never attended school.
Okay.
You as a teacher program. How would you suggest introducing this to those?
In my vision, we're going to go over the assembly champs in the first day we open on Monday. We're going to have the assembly champs up, and before they go, we're going to teach them how to walk in the hallways. And it'll be up to you as the teacher, because you don't really have time with them other than in the hallways, just to kind of keep that and reinforce it, and just keep working on it. And yeah, you're right. Our pre-K and our preschool kids haven't seen it either. And what we get from them may look a little different than what we get from our first and second graders.
Can we do bubbles and ducktails?
You can do bubbles and ducktails. Absolutely. Absolutely.
They do know that.
Yes. Yep. And you'll see a big difference between the kids who have been to preschool and the kids that have not been to a preschool yet. So yeah, definitely have your work cut out for you. But hopefully with 10 to 15 kids, it'll be a little easier than 30. Another piece that will be helpful for us is the quiet signal. And we kind of stumbled into one last year that worked really well for us, so we're going to establish that again. And it's something that the kids are used to also from school. And so we will use this one. May I have your attention, please? And if you'll practice that one with me, please. May I have your attention, please? Thank you. And when I put my hand up, the kids would put their hand up. They don't have to say that. But you as adults need to say that if you need to get the kids quiet. So if your line is out of control and you need to step in front and get it, may I have your attention, please? And you wait until they're quiet. And if it takes too long, turn it into a contest. I know we can do that faster. I know we can. Let's see if we can do it in about 3 seconds this time. And do it again. Put your hand up, see if they can get it. The goal is to get them quiet. So get them quiet. But using a signal like that will be helpful. And really, it's reteaching and reteaching and reteaching those expectations. So instead of, you didn't follow the champs, go sit in the corner, it's, what are the champs? Tell me that voice level. Show me that voice level. Let's all do voice level 0. And that will be helpful. We'll have some kids that push. I mean, they'll be pretty good on Monday and Tuesday. Come Wednesday, they'll start to push the boundaries a little bit, perhaps. And having those expectations will help. Any questions about the champs, the schedule, anything like that? Anything so far?
So is there a staff meeting on Monday?
There will not be a staff meeting on Monday because we'll be working with registration to get kids in and in line. If you're still here, 8:30, 8:40 time would be helpful to get kids filed in, help pick up the slack somewhere if needed. We're going to go over some do's and don'ts. And so for do's, I want you to learn names of your kids. They'll have name tags, but it's helpful to learn names and use names. It helps with a little family atmosphere. Smile with your kids. Even if you're stressed, smile with the kids. It should be the best week for them. It should really be the best week of their summer. It's fun to come here, and that's the gift we give these kids. Help in rotations. When you go to art and science and rec, help there. You'll see that we're a little low on volunteers this year. We've got plenty of coverage, but we don't have too much coverage. So make sure when you're going those places, you're helping. When you get there, if you know already you've got a couple of kids that shouldn't be seated together, move them. Group them up with somebody else. Be proactive in that. And help. Sit with the group. Work with the group. Participate. Listen for connections to the scripture. You are the one that's traveling between the different rotations. So you're going to see what's in science and Bible and art and rec, and you're going to help be able to make those connections for kids. So remind kids of the scripture reading for the day, and listen to the story in the morning and be able to make those connections for kids. Use your champs. Remind kids of the champs. Keep those expectations high for them. Please focus on the kids. That's really what we're here for that week. I have a great time doing VBS, but I can get caught up in my own things and forget that it's about the kids. So really focus on the kids and have fun. We want you to enjoy your time, but we really want the kids to enjoy their time as well. Some don'ts. Please don't hang out in the parlor or the kitchen or other places. We want you with kids. We've had in the past the parlor kind of open with snacks and treats, and we're going to close that. We're not having a lounge. There's no time to lounge. When you're here, you're working the whole time. So we're not going to have hangout time in the parlor for youth and adults. So that's a little change this year. If you're working, especially with the littles, please don't pick up the kids and wrestle with them. There have been sometimes I see a youth walking down the hallway with 2 kids, 1 on each hip. All the kids that are coming to us are preschool, pre-K age. They're okay to be expected to walk down the hallway. They're not infants, they're not toddlers, they're preschool age. And although it's fun, we want them to be able to walk down the hallway to where they need to be. So please don't touch the kids more than you have to. I'm not saying you can't touch the kids or give hugs, but you just don't need to be wrestling with them or picking them up. Please don't escalate little things. So if there's a little, like you can't get your class exactly to a voice level 0, but you get them pretty close, don't pick at it, just move on. Get them quiet enough and move them to where they need to be. And think about, will it affect anyone else? And again, we talked about on the dues, do participate when you go someplace. Please don't drop your kids off at the rotations. Don't take them out to rec and leave them. Yes, there's going to be a time you've got to run to the restroom, and yes, that's an okay time for you as an adult to run to the restroom real quick, but come right back and participate if you need to, okay? And I don't want anybody to be offended by the don'ts. They're just things that I've seen through doing VBS the last 5-6 years, that I know it's helpful if we can bring those down. It will make it run more smoothly. So, you guys have any questions?
Missions this year?
There are missions this year. That's a great question. We are going to be collecting money for Zimbabwe, and the focus of that will be to purchase sports equipment. So to purchase soccer balls and things for the kids to play with, I think at the school, playground equipment. So we'll be collecting cash to give to that project. I think we'll just take care of that in opening and closing assembly.
Now, do we have some kind of a container that the kids are going to recognize that this is something they're going to want to put their money in?
Patty Beck is working on that for us.
I
So I haven't seen her idea yet,
Some kind
but
of symbol.
yes, she's working on that
Like
for
last
us.
year we had school supplies and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, we talked about having maybe bricks on the wall or a measuring tape or something to just kind of make it visible and measure what's going on.
Also, if we have the children's faces, if we could have those little faces on something around there, I think it would help our children to connect with those other little children.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Any other questions? Do you feel comfortable with your roles? Everybody found their name? And if you didn't find your name because I didn't know, come see me and we'll get you added in. Let me know what you think you might like to work. Again, we need some Bible story folks and we need some rec folks.
Last year,
Yes.
last year I just kind of like floated around. I had like people ask me to stay at a different station every once in a while. Like I went to story time for like every once in a while, and then I'd be working with a certain group of kids, and then I'd be in praise or whatever. And I had no idea what I was doing last year.
Okay, we'll make sure you have.
I can do.
We'll make sure you have a job.
Oh, I wanted to like just float around because I love doing that. Because I like meeting all the kids.
If I put you with rec, you'll end up seeing all the kids. So let's do that. Let's put you out there at rec. You'll be good help out there. You're a good help gunner. Linda, you're asking about Bethany that you're working with. She's best friends with Katie down there. And so, oh, okay.
I will message you later.
Okay.
I still have to hear from her. She's still in school.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to conclude the big portion of our meeting. If you have individual questions, let me know, and I'll talk to Fran and Gunnar and Abby and get you on the list. Oh, and
Emily's on the list.
I need to get you on the list too. Okay. So thank you very much for being here tonight, and we will see you bright and early on next Monday morning.